What are we doing? You gotta tell them what we're gonna do.
Oh. Hello, Emily.
That's not how you open a video.
Sure it is. Hey guys, it's finally time to give this tiny home a makeover and get it sold. So let's get started.
There you go, finally. You didn't see that. There we go. Let's do this. I just increased the value of our house 350%. Makeover done, put it on the market. All right, let's get to real work. All right, I wasn't planning on putting board and batten shutters on this, but when we were at Habitat for Humanity, the restore store, they had these new in the box for $7 each. I think they're normally either $50 or $90 for a pair, depending on which type you get. So of course we snatched them up because for $7 a window, it really changes the whole look of this thing. Turbo, what you doing, Turbo? Turbo. He said, leave me alone, I'm eating. He's enjoying lunch. All right, let's go inside. So as you can see, the little bit of a kitchen they did have, we've already got most of it pulled out. We got all that orange wood flooring pulled up, all the wood trim. There's still a couple spots we need to get some trim off. Got all of our flooring here. Got that wall pulled out that was right here separating for our closet. I'm gonna have to drywall and fill in up there. We gotta get rid of this ceiling fan, figure out something else. Now we have started cutting out here. We're gonna have to put in an attic access because we're going to be putting all new lighting in here. I have got recessed LED lights to put in here that have a nightlight ring on them. So it's gonna make it look a little higher end and a little bit nicer. So we're gonna start putting those in today. Say hi, Emily. Hi. So you can see here, this is the stuff we're gonna be battling today. The tape and bedding in here was not great. You can see where that's already pulled off up there. So we're not professionals at this, we're just figuring it out. Oh, y'all like this. So I guess when they put the door in, they made the opening a little too big. So they just put some particle board in here to space it out. So we're gonna have to fix that as well. So you can see I also added in a window. We just had 4 of these in the house. It was really dark in here, so there's only this window, and then this window was pretty much hidden by the refrigerator and cabinets. So you really only had this single window in this living space. So I went ahead and added this large window in. I'm gonna show them how it works. It's actually pretty cool. You can pull the screen over, or you can open it from the other side, or you can open both of them. Pretty cool, but it's gonna add a lot of natural light in here and make it not feel so much like a, see if I can get back here far enough, not feel so much like a cave in here. It really opens it up. Imagine that just completely blocked off how dark it was in here. And then we got all these cabinets from Restore as well. It was like $25 a cabinet. I'll go ahead and post a little diagram that I kind of threw together right here to give you an idea of what I plan on doing. Y'all seen the photos from the way it looked before. It just wasn't very functional, but pretty much we're gonna have cabinets here, upper cabinets, stove there, refrigerator over here, and then we'll have lower cabinets, but right here where that plug's at, I'm gonna put an island in as well. And then we got butcher block tops that we're gonna put on top of those, and I am going to attempt to do backsplashing as well. Same thing in the bathroom, gonna try to do some backsplash in the bathroom. I'm already exhausted, we haven't even started yet. But I'll go ahead and throw up a quick time lapse of us putting in this window so y'all can see how we did that. Pretty much all we're gonna do, a lot of sanding and tape and bedding and texture and cutting out holes for lights. All right, let's get to it. Okay, as you can see here, I'm using my laser level to set up for my cuts for the opening for the window, just like I did in my shop, just to make sure everything's level and plumb. Unfortunately, I did not take into account that this building is not setting level. If you're looking at the screen, the actual right side of the building is lower than the left side. So my only alternative around that is to just take a measurement from the floor up and recut the openings. I'm going to add a header above this window. Instead of cutting out the drywall and putting in the header and adding a bunch of work for myself, I actually just cut slits out so that I could cut through the 2x4s to remove them, and then I'm going to slide the header in behind the drywall. That way, instead of having to add a whole new piece of drywall and tape and bedding, I just have 3 slits that I need to fill in with putty. All right, so as you can tell, it's starting to get dark. We're about to call it a night. I didn't film doing all this today because it's kind of boring, but I at least wanted to show you what I've been doing all day. Where they did the tape embedding, the tape is sticking out real far. I mean, you can almost grab it with your fingernail and pull it and peel it off. So I've been trying to sand it down. The tape starts coming apart and getting all like furry. So that was a bad idea. The only other option I could figure out to do, which I'm not an expert at this, was to go through and just start building it up. And so that's what I've been doing. I've been building up on the outside of the tape, just the thickness of the tape or a little more, getting it all flush. And then tomorrow, once it dries, I'm gonna come out here and go a little bit wider with it and kind of feather it all in, and then I'll sand it smooth. Hopefully we'll be all good. But that's pretty much what I've been doing all day. And I got my holes cut for our recessed lights to go in. And we went and picked up all of our trim so we can trim out everything. Show you what Emily's been doing. Say hi, Emily. So we took a piece of this up to Home Depot to color match it. And of course they couldn't color match it because of the texture or something. And I ended up going through all their samples and I found a sample that apparently my eye is good enough that we were able to match it up. So we're not having to repaint it completely. We're just going through and fixing. There's a lot of spots like that all around. So and you can see where Emily's already gone through and fixed all of it.
It's brand new.
Yeah, I can't believe I got that close on the color. You can't even tell what's new and what's old. So it's being a little wet. Yep, that's what she's been out here doing. The ladder tall enough for you?
I can get right up there and get the access.
Come on, you can stretch. Reach. All right, well, we're about to call it a night. So, like I said, really didn't do anything too entertaining today, but at least wanted to give you an update. Say good night, Emily.
Good night, Emily.
All right, good morning, good morning. Well, as you can see, I've got the ceiling pretty decent. I could go through right now, sand down all my joints, and it would be okay, but you're still gonna see imperfections in it. Just the way they installed the drywall is not the greatest. There's a little bit of stagger in it, and the only way I can think of getting it perfectly smooth would be to compound the entire ceiling and block sand it all down smooth, which would take days. We're not gonna do. Now, I had an idea. I have some of the powdered drywall compound that you mix with water. I'm thinking about mixing that really thin and taking my big fluffy roller and seeing if I can roll a little bit of a texture onto the ceiling. That way the flaws won't be super noticeable. It'll kind of hide them, if you know what I mean. See? All right, I'm figuring out that if I don't press it real hard, I get more of a textured look that I want. So I'm pretty much just globbing a bunch of it on there and then just very lightly with the roller going over it, and it's leaving that nice textured look. All right, it's making my roller look like that, and it's not laying texture anymore. So I'm gonna go outside, spray it off with a hose, and see if it'll keep going. It completely hardened my roller. This side, no, that's starting to harden too. Crud. See what we can do. May have to take a sponge and just sponge it. What I ended up doing, as y'all seen, I tried to use a sponge. It was doing the same thing. It was hardening the sponge after a few seconds. So I ended up getting some oil-based white paint and mixing the drywall compound with the oil-based white paint, and that seemed to make it last longer without drying. It looks a little weird right now with it being wet because you got shiny spots and flat spots, so you can't really see the texture, but hopefully once it dries we'll get a little better idea of what it's going to look like, and I think that's going to work. All right, as you can see, I got the ceiling painted. Still got a little bit of drying to do, but I'm gonna start figuring out how to get some lights put in here so that whenever it starts getting dark, we can continue working. Now I'm gonna be installing these rolling lights. These are really similar to the ones I put in my shop. The only difference is these have these night-like rings. You can double flip the light switch and this light will turn off and just leave this night light ring on. So it's kind of cool. These are super simple to install. They're energy efficient. They have 5 or 6 different levels of brightness, so you can set it up for that warm amber hue or the super bright white if you want, whenever you install them. Now the nice things about these, as you can see, they're only about a 1/2 inch thick. So I just went around and popped in holes, and if for some reason there would have been a stud where I needed a light, a normal recessed can light you wouldn't be able to put in because there's a stud in the way. But since these are only 1/2 inch deep, they're the same width as the drywall, so you can fit them in where they're studs. So pretty much you just go around, and where you want a light, you put your hole in and then stick your light and wire it in there. Now I'm not going to show you step by step how to install these lights on this video, but if you are interested in learning how to put these in, I'll put a link right here or here somewhere of when I did the garage and did a step-by-step tutorial on how to install these. Hey, come on, Emily, we got a decision to make. So we had an awesome subscriber give us these. She had them left over from when she did her house. So, which are not enough to do a normal full-size house, but for this little tiny home, it'll be plenty, or we think it'll be plenty. So, we got that, or we got that. I kind of like both. I know. I mean, the gray and black kind of matches with the gray wall, but that other one looks a little more high-end and classy.
Mm-hmm. But it's not too brown, because sometimes brown can just be too brown.
Yeah, but it matches kind of with having the countertops, and it's got a little bit of gray in there. I think I'm leaning towards the squares.
Yeah, too. I do like the dark color, but I think
that one would be better in like a bathroom.
Yeah.
Or around a vanity or a shower, which maybe we can use those in this bathroom.
Yeah, that's true.
This kind of looks a little more high-end and classy, especially with the countertops. And it's got gray in it to match with the gray.
I and the creams go with the countertops.
Yep.
And it looks good with the gray coloration on the wall.
Yep. There we go. Got our choice. Thanks for your input. So as you can see, I finished up the backsplash. That's my first time ever doing backsplash. Pretty happy with it. Now, I would by no means ever do a DIY video on something that I have no experience with. So that's why I didn't stop and explain what I was doing, because I was learning as I went along. But I did want to share some things that I learned along the way that may save you some time. Now, my first mistake was I did not buy enough tile adhesive. I thought with it just being a little backsplash in a tiny home that this would be plenty. We were just going to do a thin coat. But of course, this only did about a 4 foot by 2 foot section, and we ran out. Now, I originally got this tile adhesive from Home Depot, and then when I ran out, East Hardware is the closest to my house, so I just ran down there. They only carry one type of tile adhesive there, so I bought it up. I read the back of the container. It said all the same things that the stuff from Home Depot said, you know, for fiberglass, for drywall, for primered walls, stuff like that. Now, for both of them being tile adhesive and saying they do the same things, you would think the product inside would be pretty similar. They're not. This is a very kind of smooth, almost drywall compound material, and the stuff from Ace Hardware has a very gritty texture, almost like they crushed up rock inside of it. Now, once I felt the gritty texture and seen the color was gray, my immediate thought was, oh, maybe that's just made to put tile on concrete. But again, I read the back of the container. It says all the same things that that says, you know, for drywall, for fiberglass, for primer surfaces. So it is made for that. Now, as you've seen in the video, the stuff from Home Depot, the white compound, man, it just, you'd stick it on there and it would stick and you could just spread it out. It was nice, smooth, it was easy to use. The gray adhesive from Ace Hardware, you see I was trying to stick it on there and it was just falling in clumps to the floor. It was having a hard time sticking to the drywall. Now, once you spread it and you put some pressure on it, you could get it to stick, but a majority of it was just falling off in big chunks on the floor. So I found out real quickly the brand of tile adhesive used plays a big role in how easy or how hard this job will be. Now, the next mistake I made was grouting it. This is such a small section, I just figured I'll go ahead and grout the entire piece and then I'll come back through with my sponge and start cleaning up the grout. That was not the right way to do it. This grout starts drying really fast, and once it did dry onto this tile, it was almost impossible to get back off. Just a wet sponge wasn't cutting it. I ended up having to go get a Scotch-Brite pad and use a wet Scotch-Brite pad and work each of these tiles to get the grout off the top of it. Now, me and Emily rotated off back and forth off cleaning the grout off of that tile after it already hardened, and we probably have about 2 hours in cleaning the grout off of that. Such a bad idea. Now, when I came over here to start doing this other section, when I went to grout, I just grouted about a 2 by 2 section and then took my wet sponge, started cleaning it off. Minutes compared to hours over here. So if you're going to do this, just grout a small section and clean it. Grout a small section and clean it. Don't grout your entire backsplash and come back, or you're going to do what we did and spend hours trying to clean it all off. Now you may say, Dean, if you were to do it all over again, is there anything you would do different? There are a couple things I would do different. First one being, I probably would have done a smaller trim piece. This doesn't look bad, just when I stand back, I catch myself going, I wish I would have done something about half that thickness. You may like it like that. I don't think it looks bad. I just feel that it should be something a little bit thinner. Now, the next thing I would do differently, if I was to actually purchase tile backsplash, I would make sure it was just made of tile, and let me show you why. She'll end up with something like this, and you'll need to cut some of these pieces in half. Now, when you're using small tile like this, you can get away with just using tile snips. So you get your piece of tile, you just tape, put it on there wherever you need to cut it, squeeze, Breaks apart in a pretty decent line. You can trim up if you need to, just a little bit to make it better. You can also score it and then snap it, and you get a little bit straight of a line. But then what you end up with is a little piece that you can put in down here to fill in that gap. Now this is the tile that we were given. So if I was to actually purchase tile, like I said, I would purchase tile that just has tile in it. This has a bunch of glass and metal pieces in it. When you go to snip these glass pieces, they do not break like you just saw that tile break. They like to shatter and crack. And then of course you can't snip the metal, so those have to be cut by hand. So if I was to do it again and I actually had to purchase tile, I would make sure it was just made of tile and didn't have any of this glass or other stuff in it. Just different colors of tile. So there you go, that's our backsplash. Like I said, I'm happy with it. It really changed the look of this little tiny home. So it was a fun learning experience. Now as you can see off camera, I've been going through getting all of our trim done around our windows and the ceiling. I've started putting some paint on these. I need to do the paint on the top. We're almost done with the kitchen living room area. Just gotta put the countertops in and then the floor, but the floor will go in after the entire building's done. I don't want to be remodeling the bathroom and the bedroom and walking over our new laminate floor. So that'll be the very last thing that goes in, and then we'll put our floor molding on the bottom of the walls after the floor's in. Now while I got y'all here, I want to get your opinion on something. As you can see, I haven't trimmed out around this window yet, because if I trim it out, my counter doesn't fit in there. So my question to you is, would you trim out the windowsill to fit around the countertop? Or would you trim the countertop to fit around the windowsill? If I set the window trim where it's supposed to be, and I went to trim the countertop, I would actually have to router it out to fit in there so that we don't end up with a big gap down here. But I don't know what the industry standard is. Do you trim the window molds or do you trim the countertops to fit? So you give me your opinion and your ideas on it. And I know, I'm probably way overthinking it. It's just an inexpensive tiny home. Most people probably ain't even gonna notice it. So I know, I got some craziness. But give me your opinion, let me know what you would do if you were here. All right, time to get back to work. I want to get this living and kitchen area done because I'm excited to start on the bathroom. As you can see, that's not where the toilet goes. The toilet actually goes back here. We just pulled it out and that's where it's sitting at the moment. You can see it's just got this tiny little vanity in here. There's no light on the wall and it just had a little bitty mirror. So we're going to be adding lights to the wall. We're going to be putting a big mirror in. And just by sheer luck, I got on Facebook Marketplace yesterday, and just a couple miles away, there was a large bathroom vanity. It was really nice for 150 bucks. Already has a sink, everything in it. It's the way it was before. It had a swing out door that you would open here. And then when you would open it up, it would open to here. And then if you needed to get back there to the shower, you would have to try to maneuver yourself back here in the corner and shut the door and squeeze around the door to get in there. So I've actually got some of them doors that just, I can't remember what they're called, accordion doors or whatever, that just open this way and slide out and then close like that. So I had to make the doorway a little bit smaller to fit that. And then even if we made a door that swung out the other way, that's where the toilet goes right there. So you would have to close the door again to get behind the door to the toilet. So we're just gonna put that accordion style door in. Now one idea I do have, the top of the shower is about right here. So I'm playing with the idea of getting rid of the top of this wall here just to make it feel more open in here because it feels very claustrophobic and enclosed in there. It's so hard to film in this small space, but right now it feels like one room here and it feels like the shower's in a closet or in a separate room. So I think taking part of this wall out is gonna make this room feel like one large open space. All right, I'm sorry if it's really loud in the background. We have a metal roof on this building and we've got a major rain outside. But I wanted to give an update. Those are the vanities that I picked up for 150 bucks. How nice is that? So I went ahead and just set them in place so I can start getting an idea. I'm gonna move that plug over here so it's accessible for blow dryers and stuff like that. I went ahead and got my center line on the wall so I can decide where I want to put my light fixture, make sure it's centered above the sink. And then I'm also somewhere around here, I am going to put a light switch just to turn this one on so it doesn't have to be on when these are on. You can see I added another can light there. I left this one in because it has a massive large hole. And it's also the exhaust fan for in here. And when I dropped that out to do wiring to the other lights, I figured out that has a Bluetooth speaker in it. So yesterday I was listening to music linked up to it. Now I got another can light, recessed light over here. As you see, I decided to go ahead and take apart the wall. And it does. See if I can get back here in the corner. So this would be where the toilet's at. But it definitely makes it feel like a bathroom now instead of 2 separate rooms or a bathroom and a closet. Having that opened up lets a lot more light through.